I wonder, at what point do we stop using our parents as an excuse for our toxic behavior? After watching the show Sirens, this question still lingers in my mind, and I believe it deserves a proper analysis, especially since this show turned out to be so much more than we all expected. Sirens is not just another wannabe deep series that builds up to a happy yet unrealistic resolution. It's a raw lesson in family trauma, male patriarchy, and personal ambition. It took three very different women and contrasted them against one another, bringing out impulses we all secretly harbor if placed under similar circumstances. The show did not play it safe at all, and for that reason only, I recommend it to people who are interested in good storytelling and complex themes. Sirens aired recently on Netflix, and if you like shows like The White Lotus or Nine Perfect Strangers, you will enjoy this one as well. In short, Sirens follows Devon DeWitt, who arrives unannounced at Michaela Kell's island estate, the enigmatic billionaire for whom her sister Simone works. The series intricately explores the dynamics between the sisters and Michaela, unraveling secrets and testing the strength of familial bonds against the allure of wealth and power. The show draws inspiration from mythological sirens, enchanting creatures who lured sailors to their doom with their irresistible beauty and songs. In the show, Julianne Moore's character, Michaela Kell, embodies this modern-day siren figure. She's wealthy, charismatic, and manipulative, drawing in those around her with her magnetic personality and opulent lifestyle. The setting, a lavish, isolated island, echoes the remote, treacherous spaces associated with the sirens in myth. Devon's quest to save her sister from Michaela's influence parallels the classic themes of being seduced by something alluring yet dangerous. So while the show isn't about literal sirens, it uses their archetype as a metaphor for the power dynamics, seduction, and self-destructive attraction at play in these relationships. Ironically enough, it is Peter who ends up being the siren, as he embodies the idea of wealth, power, and the promise of a luxurious life. So what does the show have to do with parents? Everything, in my opinion. But first, we have to talk about two things: the relationship between Devon and Simone, and the relationship between Simone and her father. So let's start with Devon and Simone. Devon and Simone's childhood in Sirens was marked by profound trauma and instability. When Simone was just 7 years old, their mother, suffering from mental illness, attempted to unalive herself and Simone by running a car in a closed garage with Simone inside. Devon discovered them in time, rescuing Simone and rushing her to the hospital, but following their mother's regrettable passing, their father Bruce descended into clinical depression and alcoholism, rendering him incapable of caring for his daughters. As a result, Simone was placed in foster care, where she endured further neglect and abuse. Devon, having left for college, eventually dropped out to assume responsibility for her younger sister. This kind of family history dictated their present, with Devon becoming their father's main caregiver, burdened by duty and sacrifice, while Simone sought escape and identity in the opulent world of Michaela Kell, striving to distance herself from the pain of her upbringing. So it's no wonder the dynamic between the two sisters isn't all rainbows and puppies. In real life, just because you're related to someone, that doesn't guarantee you love, respect, and understanding. On the contrary, expectations may vary from person to person. In this particular case, these two sisters experienced their father's abuse differently. Devon went away to college, getting drunk and escaping an unfortunate situation, while Simone was left behind, made to starve and be forgotten by a father who could never recover after his wife's passing. But Devon's sense of responsibility manifests in her adult life as a relentless drive to save Simone, even when her interventions are unwelcome. Simone, conversely, seeks autonomy and reinvention. Her immersion into Michaela's world represents a desire to escape the shadows of her past and her sister's overbearing presence. Throughout the series, their interactions oscillate between moments of genuine connection and intense conflict. For instance, when Simone experiences a panic attack after being caught sneaking out, it's Devon who finds and comforts her, revealing the enduring bond beneath their disagreements. Which brings us to Simone and Bruce. The relationship between Simone and her father Bruce is deeply complicated, and it's marked by estrangement and unhealed wounds. Because of Bruce, Simone had to navigate a childhood of instability and trauma, fostering both a need for validation and awareness of paternal figures. Simone's choices in adulthood, particularly her entanglement with Michaela and Peter Kell, reflected this search for validation and the father figure she never truly had. Michaela, with her magnetic presence and wealth, offers Simone a sense of belonging and worth she never received from Bruce. Peter Kell, as Michaela's husband, also becomes a complex father figure replacement in Simone's life, further complicating her motivations. Simone's strive for independence, coupled with her willingness to engage in morally ambiguous relationships, can be seen as a response to the neglect and betrayal she experienced from Bruce. She's drawn to powerful, self-assured people because she's still seeking the stability and love she missed as a child. Her decisions, while reckless at times, are a desperate attempt to fill in the void left by her father's inability to nurture her. Devon's manipulations and Simone's impulsiveness seem to have deep roots in their complicated relationships with their parents, but as the show unfolds, the question becomes, how long can we lean on our parents' failures as an excuse for our own? At what point do we take ownership of our actions rather than blaming the people who raised us? When do we realize that our actions are our own responsibility, regardless of who or what taught us? Sirens is brutally honest in exploring how these patterns get passed down, but it also suggests there is a breaking point, a moment when the past can't be the scapegoat anymore. Devon and Simone's arcs challenge the viewer to see that while empathy for someone's childhood wounds is important, so is holding them accountable for the choices they make as adults. And now let's talk about the ending. When I finished watching the last episode, I couldn't help but feel sorry for all three women involved. Michaela is discarded and replaced, Devon sacrifices herself one last time, and Simone resorts to relying on a man's strength to escape another man. Simone looks for a mother in Michaela. She sees her as a stand-in, someone to fill the void her own mother left behind. But when Michaela inevitably betrays her and Simone finds herself cornered by her father in the last scene together, she retaliates in the only way the world has taught her, with desperation and finality. In those moments I felt an overwhelming sense of pity for Simone. Pity not just for her actions, but for the gaping wound that's been her entire life. It's tempting to hope for that classic Hollywood ending, the one where the sisters unite, forgiveness triumphs, and Simone reconciles with her father. But Sirens refuses to feed us that comforting narrative. And honestly, that's what makes it feel so devastatingly real. We like to talk about the sanctity of family, about how forgiveness is always the moral high ground, but life isn't a perfect script. Some people don't just fail at parenting, they become active participants in their child's suffering, and those children become adults that spend their entire lives searching for their parents' love and affection. And it's a cruel double standard that we continue to punish the children of these failed relationships for not forgiving the ones who hurt them the most. I, for one, have a wonderful relationship with my parents, but I know people who can't bear to be in the same room with theirs, who can't even pick up the phone without feeling like they're opening old wounds. Sirens makes it heartbreakingly clear not everyone is fit to be a parent, and not every child can or should be expected to forgive. We're all just human beings, each worthy of peace and happiness, even if that means leaving family behind. In the end, Sirens doesn't offer an ideal moral resolution, but it does shine a light on the harsh reality that sometimes the best choice isn't sacrificing yourself once again, it's survival. And that message, as difficult as it is to digest, is important to be heard. Thank you for watching my video. My name is Denny. I have a channel about movies and games, so if you'd like to support me, please help me out with a like and a subscribe. Also, comments are my favorite part, so go ahead and leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Take care everyone, and see you next time. Bye!